The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Good evening and welcome into my State of Mind. I am Dan Yorke, and this is the Friday broadcast, at least in its original form. It's great to have you in. Zoom, 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 the television show. It's been an experience, no doubt, and a learning lesson for a lot of us. In the meantime, tonight we're going to get a little learning lesson. Anthony Hubbard is my guest. He is the CEO of the YouthBuild Preparatory Academy. He is somebody who's recently written a pretty compelling piece on the challenge for black males in America today and trying to get past the rigmarole right to the heart of it. He's working with black males every single day. He is one, and he has some challenges trying to reach across the political spectrum to get more good work done. So he is my guest this evening, and with no further ado, let me introduce him. And here you are with Anthony Hubbard. His organization has been doing some great work in the community, and he's looking to grow it. YouthBuild Preparatory Academy and YouthBuild Providence. Anthony, thank you very much for joining me this evening. It's an important conversation I think we're going to have. And before we get into the meat of the matter, can you give me a 30, 60-second background for everybody on exactly what your organization does?
Yeah, so like you said, YouthBuild Providence has been serving out-of-school youth in Providence's most economically depressed neighborhoods for the last 23 years. By definition, we are your traditional workforce program for young people who left school prior to earning a high school diploma. We teach them construction skills, they build affordable housing, and hopefully put them on a trajectory to have a more sustainable, productive life.
Well, that's as concise as it gets, but work isn't.
Definitely.
No, I'm sure it isn't. Listen, we've been doing the best we can and that's not even close to good enough, to really get a sense of what Black America, Black New England, Black Providence, Black Rhode Island. I hate to just keep using the term, but we got to be afraid, stop being afraid of stepping on toes and saying it the right way. Just let's get to it. I mean, ever since the George Floyd, God rest his soul, matter. I mean, there is, and I don't use this as the current cliche, but there is an awakening, no doubt, that's happening in this country. It feels like a moment to seize. And you have, published some commentary online that speaks to it. Tell me what your head and your heart are telling you about the time that we are in and the opportunity we may have.
Yeah, so that's a huge question. The experience that I believe our nation is going through right now is nothing new for the Black community, in the Black and Brown community. Feeling marginalized and ostracized and not feeling that we're receiving the full equity and inclusion within systems that sometimes feel like systems of oppression. When I began writing this piece, it was very difficult to really put the words on paper because you had to remember the names of individuals that were slain by the hands of others. And it made me remember, a promise that we made to the young men here in Providence, that we would do everything in our power to ensure that they are able to live healthy, happy, safe lives as adults. And pen to paper is one thing, but the impetus of it was really a call to action, that we must realize that these things are happening. The time to stop talking about them is over. We must be in the intervention, do something now phase of this movement.
Well, I get that sentiment, but I got to tell you, it is. You may know what has to be done, but there's a huge orientation matter that I think America is going through right now, and this space between what you say is no new news, the Floyd tragedy, the Brooks tragedy in Atlanta. It's not new news. But there's an entire constituency in America and here in Rhode Island that is still thinking these are one-offs. These are, rogue bad cops that from time to time are going to do bad things. And it's not part of a systemic issue. It's just, falls under the category of, as the bumper sticker would say, blank happens. So a lot of space you've got to fill, right?
Yes. Yeah, it really goes to, I like to challenge that observation with the fact that I don't believe folks listen. These things have been happening. We've been trying to communicate this to individuals that we believe have the power to do something about it. And, it's not about, it goes more than, the police scene and the interaction between police and communities of color. These cries have been made in just about every system: healthcare, education, criminal justice. The voice has been there, but the folks that could do something about it either dismiss it or don't listen. And so when people say, your experience as an African-American male, yes, it comes from a different place, but the empathy would be there if folks just open their ears.
Okay. So my question was wrongly posed, and feel free to tell me that it was wrongly posed. I guess I'm trying to figure out, and I got to bring this audience to some. I want people watching the show to walk away with it saying, "Aha, got it, got to do that. Aha, got it, got to do that." At least, and so, what is the aha that people need to understand? And then what are they supposed to get, and what are we supposed to do? And if we got to name names in public life or whatever, and those of you who you think have walked away from responsibility, then we have no fear on this program. So give me those bullet points, and then in our next segment we'll kind of elaborate, please.
Yeah, I think the aha is that folks have to realize that this is a matter of life or death. Like my op-ed stated, it may not be by a bullet, but it will be the lack of doing. And state leadership, from the governor's office to the Department of Education, even to the school district in the juvenile justice or adult correctional facilities, need to come to the table to be proactive instead of reactive. And I think, our country, we're in a reactive state right now. We're trying to respond to the cries, we're trying to respond to the protests, but we need to figure out the strategies and the interventions that need to be put in place so that we can lessen the impact in the future. And so the aha for me would be, or the aha I would want folks to receive in this message, is that the financial impact, the life impact, and the political impact that's happening now will only get worse if we don't join in together collectively to solve the issues that we know exist.
Okay, that's enough for people to stick around. We'll be right back. Anthony Hubbard is the CEO of the YouthBuild Preparatory Academy in Providence, and we'll get down to some nitty-gritty when we return here on Dan Yorke State of Mind. Stay with us. Welcome back to my State of Mind here. Important conversation with Anthony Hubbard, who runs the YouthBuild Preparatory Academy in Providence. And I wish I had the time to go back on the history of this organization, but it's been around for a while, and they're working with dozens and dozens of young Black males, and they're working the education route. They're working the preparation route. This is life building skills that are being taught here. And Anthony, we got to cut through it. Every organization, nonprofit, not-for-profit, is always looking for more space, more resources, more money. and always have a legitimate story to tell as to the meaning of their existence. Is your frustration that your organization has not been able to grow itself? And if it's supposed to grow itself, what tangibly is it going to deliver? And what are the movers and shakers not getting and not providing your organization as not just another list of do-gooder, wannabe, fill the space, yada, yada efforts, but something that's going to be pivotal, catalytic, integral, dynamic, and successful? What is it? What is it? If I was the governor and I just met Anthony Hubbard and you're trying to shake me, or if I'm the ed commissioner or the superintendent of schools, say in Providence, and you're trying to shake me, and I think, just another guy that's looking for $100 grand in a grant, what would your response be? Give me something to chew on, is what I'm saying.
So I think the thing I would need to correct those individuals is that it's not about an Anthony Hubbard agenda. It's not about a YouthBuild agenda. This is about YouthBuild's ability to follow through on a promise that we made to a room full of Black and brown boys. Back in 2016, a group of middle schoolers and high schoolers said, could you build us our school, not just another school, our school that will focus on our unique needs? And YouthBuild stepped up to the plate, but we did so saying to them, we will do this with you, not for you, but with you. And those young men testified to the General Assembly. They were advocating, they told their story in the legislation and the bill passed back in 2016. The reason why that conversation was happening is because those young men felt that the public school system in Providence were failing them. And no matter where they went, who they talked to, except for a few champion teachers and a few administrators, that they were not being listened to and they needed a voice. And YouthBuild was at the table listening to them. The problem is we knew this back in 2016. This is before the John Hopkins report came out. This is before, we looked at the local graduation rate. We looked at the chronic absenteeism and the suspension rate was happening in Providence. We knew this information. We find it every day at YouthBuild when individuals drop out to come to YouthBuild because they were seeking an alternative from the traditional system. So we knew that there was something about YouthBuild that they wanted, and it was really around all the other stuff. We were able to provide, the support that they needed so that they can have retention in school, because we was finding out a lot of them wasn't dropping out because of academic ability, it's because life got in the way. And they needed to be in an environment that was more flexible and understanding of that and able to work with them and their family. And so my thing is, if it's not about YouthBuild trying to grow our programming or expand our portfolio, it's really about providing the services that the young people have requested, that they had input on the design of the school model, centered around issues that they wanted to see incorporated within curriculum. The same conversations that's happening now. We want to know about our history. We want social justice focus. We want this liberatory educational experience. This is what I'm saying to these administrators. It's like, we had this conversation back in 2016. It is now 2020, and you're still having the conversation. So do it for the young people.
I'll jump in here. So to make certain, your academy is a substitute for the public school system, correct?
No, it's not a substitute for the public school system because, one size don't fit all, right? So we say that for public education.
I apologize, Zoom is a problem sometimes. Your students, your participants are in your academy in lieu of school, correct?
Yes.
All right, so you're sanctioned to teach kids across the board, and the young men that you are dealing with are what ages?
Traditionally 16 to 24, but the school would serve 14 to 21.
All right, so you're picking them up after they've after they've had some bumps and bruises.
Yes, definitely.
So,
Definitely.
but they may have left a high school or two and come to see you, correct?
Yes.
And you are
Yes.
sanctioned by the Rhode Island Department of Education to have them finish their GED and or their diploma? How does that work?
No. So right now in our YouthBuild program, they would have officially left school. What's being proposed that we haven't been able to open yet would be that they will transfer to YouthBuild Prep, the school, to finish their high school, as if any other secondary school in the state.
So you're looking to make that. You're telling me that's the deal that was made, and you just haven't been able to consummate it.
Yes.
I get it. Okay. So that's interesting. When we come back, let's talk with Anthony Hubbard of the YouthBuild Preparatory Academy. Exactly what he visions when the deal gets done that he can do for the young people in the system. We'll be right back on Dan Yorke's Little Statements. Back to my state of mind. Anthony Hubbard is the CEO of YouthBuild Preparatory Academy, and you can see that we've got two kinds of conversations going on here. If you've been paying attention, we have the big picture. How can we fix things in society, and how do black males in the society get a better break, and what do they have to do for themselves and to put themselves in that position? I'm getting that. We also have a political systemic problem, and maybe an organization that's been kind of left at the door or at the altar. And I see you smiling now. Maybe that's it. If I'm the commissioner or the superintendent of schools in Providence, tell me, Anthony, what can your organization tangibly and immediately deliver to the youth in the community that you think will help the big picture?
Yes. Provide a safety net. That's not only about education, it's about all the other things that we know that will help build healthy adults. I think one of the misconceptions is that we want to compete against the Providence public school system, and that's farther from the truth. We want to partner. Like, we want to identify those students together that we both believe that will thrive in the YouthBuild Preparatory Academy environment. And we also...
And what are they getting? What are they getting from you? What enriches them? And by the way, this commissioner and this superintendent just put a goal this high for the Providence school system. How do you help get there? And the only way they get there is by real human beings being better educated and better prepared for life. How do you get them there?
Yeah, one, a culturally relevant and rigorous curriculum. Connect them deeper into the community, let them be change agents so that they can feel like they're being active participants in that. And we have found that making that connection for young people connects them stronger to their educational goals. We provide all the case management, wraparound services. We deal with issues of mental health. We deal with the economic issues at home, because we realize that a lot of these young people can't focus in school because of home life. And so we try to address those needs. And so that's the benefit to the young people, the smaller classrooms, the hands-on learning that we know some young people say they do better as. And so our ability to be small and to be flexible and nimble in the moment and address the individualized needs where larger schools can't, right? Just by the sheer nature. You can't do that for 300 plus kids.
I only got a couple of minutes here. I'm intrigued. We'll keep the conversation going both on TV and on radio, but finish this off with me by telling me, if it's possible to do in a minute's time, what does a young black teen get from the program that you provide, and how is that helping society in general?
Love. I mean, it's philosophical, right? But they get love. They feel wanted, needed, love. And the residual effects of that spills off. They start feeling better about themselves. They want to do better. They want to make sure that they live in safe communities. They become stewards of their communities. And so they become active, good citizens. And these are individuals that turn into voters. These are individuals who are, you know, where they started off hopeless, are now feeling that things are possible. Even with the systems of oppression fighting against them, they still have that new motivation. And these are not my words, these are words from exit surveys from YouthBuild students of the past.
So to some, you think that the work you're doing prevents or gives a better chance of preventing the next George Floyd or Rayshard Brooks tragedy because, I mean, it's way big. Very 30 seconds to respond to that, but you know, does it give a kid a chance not to get jammed up?
I mean, that's a huge conversation right there, because you know, they can't control the hands of others, but what it can do is put them in a different position so that they may or may not have those type of interactions.
But you know what?
But I say that's a huge.
Leave it there. But you know what? That's our next conversation. So we've connected, and I'm happy to do that. If people want more information, by the way, about YouthBuild Preparatory Academy, the website is www.ybprep.org. That's ybprep.org. Anthony, thanks for your good work. Appreciate it very much. And we shall be in touch and maybe help to connect.
Thank you.
I'll wrap up when we come right back on Dan Yorke State of Mind. Stay with us.
Thank you.
Anthony Hubbard, and I want the movers and shakers in this state to know that he's doing some pretty good work, and that work needs to have some space. We'll see about that over the course of time and follow up. You have a great weekend, or next evening, next day, depending on when you've seen this show. We'll be back with some pretty compelling programs next week, including Harrison Peters, the Providence School Superintendent, and the turnaround plan. Have a great night. Thanks for tuning in. Zoom, zoom.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.